I woke up in my best friend's body, staring at the mirror in his penthouse bathroom. And the first thing I did was smash the glass with his Rolex, because if I was trapped in Jake Harlan's skin, I was going to make sure he felt every crack in mine. I'd spent 5 years rotting in a supermax for a murder he committed, my DNA planted like a bad joke at his wife's funeral, while he toasted to his freedom with champagne that tasted like my stolen life. Now, with this freak lab accident swapping our souls during his experimental neural transfer demo, I had one shot to claw back everything he took, starting by whispering his own confession into the ear of the one person who could bury him deeper than I ever was. The fluorescent hum of the sterile white room in Harlan Biotech's underground lab still echoed in my skull like a migraine from hell. It was supposed to be a simple demo, Jake, the Golden Boy CEO, showcasing his latest breakthrough in neural mapping to a room full of venture capitalists and FDA suits. Mind uploading for the masses, he'd called it. All slick smiles and TED Talk charisma, promising immortality in silicon while Eden Voss, his loyal R&D lead, prepped the prototype rig. I'd been his shadow for a decade, college roommates turned corporate Siamese twins, pouring my genius into his empire because loyalty. Right? That's what you do for family. Except Jake Harlan wasn't family. He was a parasite in a Brooks Brothers suit, and I'd just become his unwilling host. The swap happened in a blink. 1 minute. I'm calibrating the electrodes on his temples, the cool gel seeping into my skin as he lounges in the chair like a king on his throne. The next, a surge rips through the cables, some glitch in the quantum buffer I'd warned him about, and suddenly, I'm gasping, my vision tunneling through eyes that aren't mine. His eyes. Broad shoulders, designer stubble, the faint scar from that yacht party in the Hamptons where he swore we'd always have each other's backs. But backs? He'd stabbed mine raw, framed me for killing his wife, Lila, to cash in on her life insurance and cover his embezzlement scam. I'd taken the fall because the evidence was ironclad, my prints on the gun, my hair at the scene, my alibi shredded by his paid hackers. 5 years in ADX Florence, America's concrete tomb, where the only view is regret and the guard's boots on the catwalk. Now, here I was, 6 feet tall in Jake's frame, heart pounding like a war drum as the investors blinked at me from across the glass partition. Mr. Harlan, you okay? One suit droned, his voice muffled. Panic clawed up my throat, but I swallowed it, forcing Jake's baritone out in a gravelly laugh. Just a little static, prototypes got some kick. Show's over, folks. Cocktails on the roof. They bought it, shuffling out with murmurs of genius and game changer, oblivious that the real game had flipped. I bolted for the elevator. Jake's Louboutins, wait. No. His loafers, slapping against marble floors that screamed old money. The penthouse was a fortress of glass and steel overlooking Manhattan's glittering sprawl, a monument to the life he'd built on my bones. I stripped off his shirt, staring at the tattoo on his my pec, Carpe Diem, inked during our wild Berkeley days. That ink mocked me now, a reminder of the kid who dreamed big until Jake started clipping my wings. Promotion after promotion bypassed, ideas borrowed for his patents, and then Lila's death, the catalyst. She discovered his offshore accounts, the kickbacks from shady Chinese suppliers lacing our neural chips with untested carcinogens. Jake had cornered her in their brownstone, the .38 from his nightstand ending her pleas. But instead of the noose, he looped it around my neck, whispering in my ear during the trial prep, "You're the fall guy, Eden." Family sticks together. The mirror shattered satisfyingly, shards raining like brittle justice. Blood welled from my knuckles, his knuckles, and I laughed. A sound too deep, too triumphant. Freedom tasted like copper and revenge. But first, survival. Jake's soul was rattling around in my old body, probably clawing at the lab techs, screaming about swaps and sabotage. Cops would come, feds with their warrants, because who'd believe a convicted murderer over the biotech wunderkind? I needed leverage. His phone buzzed on the vanity, a text from Victoria. His mistress and board chair. Missed you at the demo. Dinner at Le Bernardin? Where the Armani? Perfect. Vicky knew everything, his secrets. The ledgers. The night he dumped Lila's body in the Hudson like yesterday's trash. She'd been complicit, turning a blind eye for stock options and his bed. If I played this right, she'd spill, thinking she was seducing her lover. I dressed in his skin like armor. Crisp white shirt. Silk tie knotted with hands that felt like puppets. Cologne sharp as betrayal. The elevator whisked me to the streets, where yellow cabs honked like angry geese and steam rose from grates like ghosts from the sewers. New York didn't care who wore the face. It just wanted your wallet. Le Bernardin was a cathedral of excess, lobster foams and caviar pearls for the 1%ers who dined on the world's misfortunes. Vicky waited at a corner booth. Her red dress a slash against the linen. Diamonds winking like co-conspirators. She rose, air-kissing cheeks that weren't mine. Her perfume a cloying jasmine trap. Jake. Darling. You look intense, she purred, sliding into the banquette. Her eyes, sharp as a scalpel, scanned him for cracks. I ordered a Macallan neat as the lies I'd spin. Rough day. Vic. The demo glitched. Felt like my soul got yanked out. She laughed, low and throaty, clinking her champagne flute. Metaphorically? Or did you finally upload that ego of yours? We bantered, her foot grazing my calf under the table. A ritual of power plays. But inside, I seethed. This woman had visited me in prison once, under the guise of support, dropping hints that Jake was devastated, while slipping me a check to keep quiet. Devastated? He'd been golfing Pebble Beach the week of my sentencing. As the foie gras arrived, I leaned in, voice dropping to Jake's confidential timbre. Lila. It's been haunting me. Her fork paused midair, foie quivering like her facade. Jake. We don't. We do. I cut her off, eyes locking like laser sights. The insurance cleared, the auditors off our backs. But the dreams. Her face in the water. It was a gamble, dredging the corpse he'd weighted with dumbbells. Vicky's lips thinned, but she didn't bolt. Instead, she signaled the waiter away, her hand covering mine, his across the linen. You promised we'd never revisit that. It was clean. Your hands, Eden's prints, poof. Gone. There it was, the hook sinking in. She thought she was consoling her lover, but she was confessing to the ghost. I squeezed back, nails digging crescents into skin that healed too easy. Tell me again how it went down. Foreclosure. Her breath hitched, eyes darting to the sommelier pouring Riesling like it was absolution. She found the Cayman accounts, the chip toxins killing test subjects in Guangzhou. Confronted you in the study. You panicked, grabbed the gun. I handled the cleanup, Prince swapped with that neural glove prototype. Hair from his lab coat planted. He was your shadow. Jake. Easy mark. My blood, his blood, roared in my ears. Easy mark. 5 years of isolation. The shank fights in the yard. The appeals denied because his lawyers buried the truth under NDAs and payoffs. I nodded, feigning the remorse Jake never felt, while my mind mapped the kill shot. And the swap today? If that tech leaks. Vicky's eyes widened, genuine fear flickering. It won't. Eden's body is in holding, sedated, raving like a lunatic. Security's got him. We'll say it was a stroke. Institutionalized the bastard. Rage boiled. Hot as the steak tartare, they comped us. Institutionalize me? Over my swapped corpse. But I played cool, toasting her brilliance, then excused myself to the restroom, where I palmed Jake's phone and fired off an encrypted email to my old burner contact, a disgraced reporter from the Times who'd owed me for spiking his biotech exposé. Harlan confession incoming. Meet at the usual. Midnight. Vicky didn't notice the theft when I returned, too busy plotting boardroom coups. Dinner dragged, her whispers turning sultry, but I demurred with a migraine excuse, hailing a cab to the dingy walk-up in Hell's Kitchen where Tommy Ruiz nursed grudges like fine whiskey. He was waiting, chain-smoking on the fire escape, his face a roadmap of scandals Jake had quashed. Voss? The hell? You look like a GQ ad. I grinned, Jake's perfect teeth flashing. It's me, Tommy. Long story. Shorter. Harlan killed Lila. Framed me. I've got proof on this phone, texts, ledgers, Vicky's voice memos from tonight. But we need more. The swap, it's real. My soul in his skin. Help me flip it, and your Pulitzer's gold. Tommy stubbed his camel, eyes narrowing. Soul swap? Jesus. Eden. Supermax fried your circuits. But he took the phone, scrolling, his cynicism cracking like eggshell. By 2 a.m., we had a plan. Leak teasers to anonymous drops. Bait Jake, trapped in my frail post-prison frame, with a fake investor meet. Let him squirm, thinking he could buy silence. As dawn bled pink over the Hudson, I crashed on Tommy's futon. Jake's body a luxury cage, silk sheets in my mind's eye, but the weight of vengeance pressing like lead. This wasn't just payback, it was resurrection. And Jake? He'd learn what it meant to wear the sins he sowed. The morning after the swap hit like a freight train through Jake's skull, my skull now, caffeine from his Nespresso machine doing jack to dull the throb. I stared out at Central Park from the penthouse balcony. Joggers ant-like below, oblivious to the cosmic joke unfolding above. Jake's life was a highlight reel, emails from sycophants praising the flawless demo, alerts from his broker on stock bumps, a calendar jammed with power lunches and charity galas where he'd pose as the savior of minds. But beneath the gloss, rot festered. I rifled his desk drawers, unearthing the velvet box with Lila's wedding ring, pawned and repurchased as a trophy, and a burner phone with text to a fixer, Voss appeal denied. Double the donation to DA's campaign. He'd bought my silence with my freedom. The bastard. Tommy's first leak dropped at 9 a.m., a blind item on a gossip aggregator. Biotech mogul's dirty demo. Neural glitch or cover for corporate murder? It pinged Jake's feeds. He was probably in a holding cell by now. My old body foredripped and monitored, raging against the mirrors that showed my gaunt cheeks and prison tats. Good. Let him taste the disorientation. The whispers of crazy from white-coated orderlies. I suited up for the board meeting. Jake's reflection in the full-length mirror a stranger's smirk. Power was a drug, and I was mainlining it, striding into Harlan Biotech's glass airy like I owned the joint. Which, legally, I did now. The boardroom overlooked the East River, a tableau of egos in Hermes ties and Chanel sheaths. Vicky chaired the head, her smile brittle as spun sugar, when I entered. Jake, glad you made it. After yesterday's. Hiccup. Hiccup. That's what she called souls colliding. I took his seat, unfolding the agenda with fingers that itched to wrap around throats. Hiccup's one word for it. The prototype fried. Eden's in the infirmary, babbling. We need damage control. Murmurs rippled, concern for the asset, not the man. One silver-haired fossil, Caldwell from Venture Days, leaned forward. And the rumors? That time's Hack Ruiz is sniffing again. Something about Lila. Vicky's eyes shot daggers. But I waved it off. Jake's casual baritone smooth as oiled gears. Old news.
Cal.
Eden's grudge, guys unhinged after the joint. We'll sue for defamation. Bury it. Inside. I cataloged their tells. Vicky's pearl clutch. Caldwell's averted gaze. They all knew. Jake's empire was a house of cards laced with complicity, board votes rubber-stamped on falsified trials, where neural implants caused seizures and undocumented workers shipped from the border. I'd signed off on the waivers. Blind faith in our brotherhood.
Now.
I saw the strings. Jake puppeteering from the top. Me the disposable limb. The meeting devolved into projections. Q4 spikes from FDA fast tracks bought with lobbyist lunches, and I played along, nodding at buzzwords like synaptic synergy. But when Vicky proposed liquidating non-essential assets to fund the fix, I pounced. Like the offshore R&D? The one with the glitchy buffers? Her face paled. That was code for the toxin-laced chips. Lila's red flag. Jake. That's confidential. I smiled. Cold as a scalpel. Everything's confidential until it's not. Motion to audit. The vote split. Tension crackling like static before a storm. Vicky adjourned early, cornering me in the hall. What's with you?
You're off.
Her hand on my arm was possessive, probing. I covered it with mine, leaning close enough to smell her fierce sweat under Chanel. Just tying loose ends.
Vic.
Like we did with Lila. She jerked back, heels clicking retreat. Score 1 for the ghost. By noon, Tommy texted, Leak 2, audio snippet of confession from burner. Cup circling. Jake would be sweating in my skin. Lawyers spinning yarns about delusions. I hit the streets. Jake's Amex burning holes for a black market neural scanner from a Chinatown contact, ex-colleague who jumped ship after Jake's restructuring. The device was a bootleg rig, humming in my briefcase like a hornet's nest. If I could reverse the swap.
Great.
If not, I'd weaponize this body to dismantle his world brick by bloodied brick. Afternoon blurred into shadows, a visit to the holding ward, where Eden was strapped to a gurney, eyes wild under fluorescent glare. It was Jake, my face twisted in fury, spittle-flecking lips I'd once called my own. You bitch, he hissed as the guard unlocked the door. What the fuck did you do? I sauntered in, Jake's loafers silent on tile, pulling a chair like a confessor. Me? This was your baby.
Harlan.
The buffer failed because you cheaped out on shielding to pad margins. My fists clenched against restraints, veins bulging like map roads to hell. Undo it.
Now.
Or I'll make your life, my life, hell. I laughed, low and mirthless. Hell, I've lived it. 5 years for your trigger finger. Lila's blood on your hands, not mine. His eyes widened, realization dawning like a gut punch.
Eden?
You son of a... Show, I murmured. Syringe glinting from my pocket, the sedative from the black market. Enough to buy silence. You're the unhinged ex-con now. Ranting about soul swaps. They'll ship you to Bellevue. Pump you full of Haldol till you forget your own name. The needle pricked clean. His struggles fading to mumbles. As his eyelids drooped, I whispered, "Welcome to my world."
Jake.
But mine had poetry slams in the yard. Yours? Just the void. I slipped out before rounds, heart hammering not from guilt, but glee. The city pulsed around me, a beast indifferent to its parasites. Tommy met me at a dive in the village, dive bar reeking of stale hops and broken dreams. Over IPAs. He laid out phase 2, bait Jake's fixer. The ghost who'd swapped the evidence. Guy's name's Marco Reyes, ex-CIA. Now freelance shadow. He owes Harlan big, but grudges bigger. Lila was his cousin. Twist of the knife, family blood on corporate hands. We wired a meet, anonymous tip to Marco's dark web drop, Harlan penthouse. Midnight. Bring the originals. Dusk fell heavy. Sodium lamps buzzing like conspirators. I prepped the penthouse. Jake's scotch decanted. Ledgers staged on the coffee table like bait fish. Marco arrived prompt. A bull of a man in a pork pie hat. Eyes like chipped obsidian. Harlan, he grunted. Glock bulging under his jacket. I poured neat. Clinking glasses. To loose ends. He sipped. Wary. But the hook set when I slid the ring box across. Lila's ring. Engraved, forever yours, V. His jaw tightened. Knuckles widening. You kept this? After what you did? I leaned back. Jake's posture, all easy arrogance. Souvenirs. But I'm done playing. The swap today, Eden's soul in me. He knows everything. Wants the files, the gun residue logs, the glove schematics. Marco's laugh was gravel.
Soul swap?
You're high. Or Voss's. But doubt flickered. He'd seen too much shadow to dismiss the uncanny. I pressed, voice dropping. Test me. Ask something only Eden would know. He did. The safe code from our Berkeley dorm. The one hiding Jake's first embezzled check. I rattled it off. And Marco's facade cracked. Madre de Dios. What now? Revenge, I said simply. Leak the files to Ruiz. But first, we make Harlan confess from my mouth. Marco nodded, pulling a micro-recorder like a talisman. We scripted it, me and Jake's voice, detailing the murder, the frame, the boards cut. As the city lights twinkled below, words poured like venom, cathartic,
Damning.
By 3 a.m., the tape was gold. Marco vanishing into the night with a vow. For Lila. Alone. I collapsed onto the leather sectional. Exhaustion crashing. This body was a temple of privilege. But the soul inside ached for its own skin. Sleep came fitful. Dreams of Lila's eyes accusing from the depths. Dawn brought chaos. Sirens wailing up Park Avenue. Feds raiding the lab. Tommy's leaks had ignited, CNN tickers screaming, Harlan heir apparent in murder probe. Vicky called. Voice shrill. Jake? What the hell is happening? I let it ring, watching from the balcony as black SUVs swarmed.
Jake.
In my body, was being wheeled out in restraints. Headlines dubbing him delusional convict's breakdown. The irony was exquisite. A bitter symphony. But the game wasn't over. Vicky was circling. and the board would cut tails to save the snake. Time to turn the screws tighter. The fallout from the leaks hit like a nor'easter, whipping Manhattan into a frenzy of speculation and subpoenas. By week 2 in Jake's skin, I was a ghost in his machine, attending meetings via proxy, dodging paparazzi with tinted Escalades, while Tommy funneled evidence to the DA's cold case unit. Jake's empire teetered, stock plummeted 40%. Investors fleeing like rats from a bonfire. Vicky, ever the survivor, called an emergency board session. Her email laced with urgency, stabilization imperative. Your presence.
Jake.
I went, armored in his Seville Row worsted wool, the neural scanner humming in my briefcase like a secret heartbeat. The boardroom felt smaller, air thick with cologne and culpability. Caldwell avoided my gaze. Fiddling with his Montblanc, Vicky presided like a queen on a guillotine scaffold. Gentlemen and Victoria, I quipped, taking the head seat uninvited. Gasps rippled. Jake. This is unprecedented, she snapped, but her eyes betrayed hunger for control.
For me.
I spread the ledgers on the table, pages fanned like a bad hand in poker. Unprecedented? Like killing your wife for kickbacks? Or framing your best friend to cover it? Silence crashed, heavier than the Hudson's tide. Caldwell sputtered. This is libel. Will, libel? I interrupted. Voice Jake's velvet thunder. Or truth. The tox reports from Guangzhou, carcinogens in the chips. Test subjects dropping like flies. Lila found out. So you too. I jabbed fingers at Vicky and the phantom Jake. Silenced her. Planted my DNA with that glove trick. I know. Because I'm not Jake. I'm Eden Voss. And this swap? Your golden boy's Frankenstein moment. Chaos erupted. Shouts. Chairs scraping. Vicky lunging for the intercom. But Marco's men, shadows in ill-fitting suits, materialized at the doors. Glocks discreet under jackets. Easy, I said, calm as a grave. We're talking family business. Vicky's face drained to ash. Realization dawning. Eden?
God.
The glitch, it worked. She laughed. Manic. Collapsing into her seat. Brilliant. Twisted. But brilliant. No horror. Just admiration, the sociopath's applause. I leaned in, breath ghosting her ear. You helped bury me.
Now.
Confess. On tape. For the world. She resisted at first. Venomous whispers about loyalty and empires. But the ledgers broke her. Dates. Amounts. Her signature on the wire transfers. As she spilled, Lila screams. The splash in the river. The courtroom bribes. The recorder word. Sealing fates. Caldwell bolted for the exit. But Marco's goon clotheslined him, cuffing wrists with zip ties. You're all accessories, I said, standing tall in borrowed height. But Vicky, you're the architect. The arrests came swift, feds storming the tower. Headlines screaming, biotech scandal. CEO confesses to frame up in body swap bombshell.
Jake.
From his padded cell. Issued a statement via lawyers. Fabricated delusions. But the tape leaked. His no. My voice damning him from beyond the grave. Public opinion swung wild. Reddit threads debating tech horror or hoax. Cable news pitting ethicists against libertarians on neural privacy. I reveled in the storm. Jake's accounts funding safe houses and hackers to scrub my old records. But cracks formed. This body rebelled. Migraines from synaptic dissonance. Visions of my real hands clawing at nothing. Tommy warned me over burner calls. Feds are digging the swap. If they buy it, you're a lab rat. Reverse it. Eden. The black market scanner was my lifeline. Jury-rigged in a Queens warehouse amid crates of bootleg semiconductors. The tech was crude, electrodes like medieval thumbscrews, humming with jury-rigged power from car batteries. I synced it to the original prototype logs. Jake's algorithms, now my blueprint. Risky, the Chinatown fixer grunted. Patching cables. Could fry both brains. I nodded. Strapping in. Fry his first. The reversal zapped like lightning in veins, pulling souls through ether wires. Agony bloomed, fire in synapses. Memories colliding like tectonic plates. I saw Jake's life flash, childhood neglect fueling his climb. Lila's love a rare light, snuffed by greed. Then, snap, darkness. Then light. I gasped awake in my own skin, frail and scarred. The warehouse blurring. Across the rig, Jake stirred in his body, eyes fluttering open to betrayal's mirror. Eden, he croaked, voice his own for the first time in weeks.
You.
One. Not yet, I whispered, yanking the 4. He lunged, but prison had honed my reflexes, elbow to throat, knee to gut. He wheezed, clutching ribs.
Why?
We were brothers. Rage surged, pure as absolution. Brothers don't sell each other for stock tips. I dragged him to the rig's console, forcing his hand to the scanner's pad. One last upload, your confession. Live streamed to every news outlet. He fought, nails raking my arm, but the code locked, his biometrics sealing the digital noose. As the feed went viral, Jake's face filling screens worldwide, tears streaked his cheeks. I'm sorry. For Lila.
For you. Sorry?
Too late for syllables. The feds kicked in the door midstream. Marco's tip paying dividends. Jake went down screaming innocence. But the world had heard enough. Vicky's trial was a circus. Perjury. Conspiracy. Her tearful testimony painting Jake the monster. Herself the duped lover. The board scattered. Harlan Biotech rebranded under federal oversight. My name cleared in a quiet hearing, exonerated due to new evidence. Reporters mobbed the courthouse steps. Mics thrusting like spears. Mr. Voss. The swap, was it real? I paused, wind whipping my coat. Real enough to set things right, but victories soured in the quiet. Back in my apartment, a cramped walk-up reclaimed from storage, I stared at the mirror,
Tracing the tattoos faded by time.
Jake's empire crumbled.
But mine?
Shattered remnants. Friends ghosted during the trial. Lovers wary of the cursed man. Tommy offered a byline co-op. But the words stuck. Poisoned by doubt. Was revenge justice? Or just another cage? Nights blurred into what-ifs. Lila alive. Jake reformed. Me unscarred. The scanner. Smuggled out. Tempted. A quick zap to borrow power again. But I smashed it. Shards glittering like false promises. Months ground on. The scandal fading to podcast fodder. Jake rotted in the cell I'd vacated. Appeals drowning in bureaucracy. Vicky walked on a plea. Exiled to some Riviera villa. Her memoirs already ghosted. I rebuilt piecemeal. Consulting gigs for ethical AI startups. Therapy sessions unpacking the soul scars. Yet the hook lingered, that rush of his skin. Commanding rooms. Bending wills. Power corrupts, they say. What if it whispered sweet nothings in the right ear? A year post-swap. New York had moved on. Its amnesia as efficient as a spin cycle. Harlan Biotech reemerged as Nexus Neural, scrubbed of toxins and scandals, helmed by a bland interim CEO who quoted Asimov in earnings calls. Eden Voss. Faded to footnote, the miracle exoneration guy, popping up in true crime docs with a haunted squint. The checks cleared, settlement from the board, royalties on stolen patents. Enough for a brownstone in Brooklyn, therapy bills, and nights staring at the ceiling, replaying the reversal's lightning. Jake's apology echoed. A ghost in the walls. I'm sorry. Words I'd craved in the yard. Whispering to shadows. Tommy dragged me to a gala at the Met fundraiser for journalist protections. Ironic toast to our leaks. I wore a rented tux, feeling like an imposter in my own skin. The fabric chafing scars. Loosen up. Voss, he grinned, pressing a gin into my fist. You're the hero. Hero? The word tasted like ash. Across the marble hall, Vicky held court, pardoned, perfumed, her laugh a silver bell tolling hypocrisy. She'd spun her plea into a TEDx on corporate redemption, audiences lapping redemption like cream. Our eyes met. She raised her flute, a silent challenge. I turned away, but the hook sank, unfinished business. Midnight found me tailing her cab to a Soho loft. The scanner's shards long discarded, but their blueprint burned in my brain. I'd reverse-engineered a portable version on a Raspberry Pi, hidden in my coat like contraband sin. Not for souls, but psyches, a neural whisper, planting suggestions like seeds in wet earth. Ethical? Hell no. But Jake's ghost demanded balance. Vicky's door buzzed open after one ring. She lounged in silk, cigarette dangling like a dare.
Eden.
Come to gloat. I stepped in. The loft a shrine to excess, Picasso's on walls, skyline mocking through floor-to-ceiling glass. No gloat, I said, voice steady despite the tremor. Closure. She poured scotch.
Neat.
Her eyes appraising. You look good.
Free.
But that fire in you, Jake's. Still. I activated the device, subtly. A low hum under the jazz vinyl spinning Coltrane. Jake's gone.
But you.
You architected it all. She sipped. Unfazed. Survival. Darling. Empires eat the weak. The whisper pulsed, suggestions of regret. Flashes of Lila's face underwater. Her hand shook. Glass clinking. What is this? Déjà vu. Truth time. The twist I'd buried deep. The swap hadn't been accident. I'd rigged it. That glitch? A backdoor code. Uploaded during calibration. Triggered by my resentment spark. Jake's demo was my trap. Souls flipped to steal his confession from the inside. But the reversal? Partial. A fragment lingered, his doubt in my psyche, my rage in his. He'd confessed not just from fear, but my venom seeping through synapses. Vicky gasped,
Piecing it. You.
Orchestrated? Not the buffer. I nodded, the weight lifting like fog. For Lila.
For me. But you?
Your greed fed it. Her face crumpled. Not fear but fury. You played God. What makes you better? The device hummed louder, implanting the final seed. Turn yourself in. She fought it, lunging for the phone, but staggered. Visions crashing, Lila's pleas. The river's cold embrace. Stop. Please. I deactivated, stepping back. Your choice now.
Vic.
But the truth? It's heavier than any frame. She sank to the rug, sobs racking, dialing 911 with trembling fingers.
I
did it. All of it. As sirens wailed distant, I slipped out, the night air crisp as absolution. Dawn broke over the bridge, joggers pounding pavement like heartbeats renewed. Jake's last appeal denied that week, life without parole. His letters pleading brotherhood restored. I burned them in a coffee can, ashes scattering like old sins. The whisper? Dismantled. Code wiped. Power's allure faded. My skin fit right again. Scars badges, not burdens. Tommy landed his Pulitzer, dedicating it to the switched and the vengeful. Debates raged online. Vigilante justice or tech terror. Hero or hubris. I chose neither. Walking the promenade with coffee steaming. Gulls wheeling free. Revenge hadn't healed. It scarred deeper. But in the quiet, I heard Lila's laugh, not accusation, but release. We'd all swapped pieces, souls, secrets,
skins.
And in the end, the only twist was grace, forgiving not them, but the boy who'd trusted too blind. New York churned on, indifferent, but I finally breathed.